Welcome back to the next video in our Dehancer series. Today we're going to actually get into some of the effects like glow, halation, and kind of compare that with some of the ones that are in Davinci Resolve itself. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the software. And as you guys can see, I already have a timeline and I've already brought in a clip right here that we're going to be working with that I have filmed from a short film. Okay, so as you can see, this is actually shot in S-Log, so obviously we're going to go ahead and we're going to have to put some type of color on here. So we're going to do everything using Dehancer, and let's just see what kind of looks that we can kind of get. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right over into the color page. So we're going to click on that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit a series node by hitting Alt S on the keyboard, and that gives us one of these. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way down to my Dehancer, and let's go ahead and get this thing from from S-Log into Rec 709. So as you can see, when you drag and drop it, it does default to some of these settings. I'm not sure if there's a way yet to change this, but I would like to be able to change that, but I have yet to discover it. And as you guys can see right now, this is clearly still not what we want. So what I like to do now is to kind of clear out all of our effects. So I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom, and I'm going to hit disable all tools here, and this gives us like now a clean image without any kind of grain or anything like that. And we can go ahead and collapse all of these different effects. Okay, so we are going to definitely play with these, but let's just go ahead and get our visual the way it needs to be. Okay, so everything is now kind of collapsed. Now we can just go ahead and start working on our input. So our input was actually with a Sony FX3, so we can hit Sony. Then we're going to go over to FX3. S-Log 3, S-Gamut 3 is exactly what I use. I don't use the Cine one, in case you're wondering. Okay, and as you can see already, this already looks pretty sci-fi. Very cool. There's already like a flare going on right here naturally with my lens that we were shooting on. So that is that. Yeah, you can kind of see that really cool right here. Now this is where it's going to get really interesting. So this is where all of this stuff is going to happen. So we can go ahead and bring that back here. We're going to add another serial node because that one's only going to be for color correction, or just bringing it into Rec 709. And then I'm going to add another Dehancer onto this. So Dehancer, you'll come to find out, is very lightweight, and it is really cool. You can actually stack it, which is something that I've been kind of tinkering with as well. And as you can see, we're back to normal. As you can see, it doesn't affect the image at all. It's the same correction, but now this one's going to have our actual color kind of effects going on. So I use this Dehancer right here. Let's go ahead and label this if you guys want to label it. I'm gonna go ahead and hit no label. We're gonna call this rec. We're gonna call this log to rec convert, and then we're gonna call this film look, right? All right, so we're gonna try to only use Dehancer and just kind of compare to see what we can do. Okay, so we're gonna use now some of these things like I mentioned earlier. Like, let's start with the halation. So I'm gonna go ahead and enable halation, and as you can see, it is very minimal, but I do see it affecting this little guy right here because I have a very trained eye. But if you zoom in very close, you can see that there is some halation now. So as you can see, it's off, and now we're gonna turn it on, and now you can see like this little ring right around this guy. So let me turn it off, on, off, on. Now you can see it. You can even see it down here, that little orangey ring. Watch your oranges in the scopes here. When I enable it, you can see that it is in fact affecting the image. So whether you like to believe it or not, it is doing something, even though you can't see it all the time. And then we're going to turn off proxies here. Let's go ahead and turn off these proxies. I don't know why I had proxies on to begin with. So I went ahead and turned that off so we can get our full resolution. I'm going to playback as well, timeline, make sure this is in full so we can kind of see everything in full resolution right here. And again, we're going to use only the Dehancer. So I like the halation. It's actually pretty nice. It's not very strong, but it's minimal, but it's there. So I'm gonna crank this up to like 100%. And if you hit mask mode, I found out you can actually see what it's affecting. So this is a really cool thing with Dehancer that is not in, you kind of have to do it up here by turning off your your composite modes and things like that up there. But I like that you can kind of do that right here and see exactly what it's affecting. So that is that. And let's go ahead and go down to the next thing, which is our bloom. Bloom is, I don't know what bloom is, so you know what, let's jump into the manual and hear it from the horse's mouth. You guys know I love to read my manuals and use that for teaching purposes. So of course this is how you learn stuff, by looking at the manual. So it says bloom profiles. To simulate the bloom diffused glow effect, we have created 4 versatile profiles: 8, 16, 35, and 65mm film formats. We have selected the average settings, which reflect the general image character. Okay. In order to change the parameters of any profile, you must first select the most suitable one and then switch to custom mode. All the usual effect settings will be available to you, and the parameter values will match the last selected profile. So custom allows you to configure bloom as you like. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and jump back into the software, and let's see if we can go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on bloom. I'm gonna go and enable it, and then we're gonna go over to custom, and then we can actually do, oh, I see. So you can actually control how much, you know, okay, I see what's going on here. So if we go to mask mode, we can actually see how it's affecting the image. So that is really neat. Oh, I can see you can minimize source limiter, so you can tell like which parts are being bloomed. So that's pretty cool. Details, you can add more details, more diffusion, like soften it or harden it. It looks like amplify also makes those more, it looked like it added some type of weird colors stuff going on. And then a saturation, of course, or excuse me, save lights. Okay, that really makes that pop brighter. It looks like that makes that brighter or darker. And then saturation is how much the different color shift would be there. And then the impact is clearly about how strong it is. So the impact that this is going to have. So if we turn off mask mode, we can see that this definitely has done something significant to my footage. And yeah, I'm just really surprised at how smooth this actually kind of runs. This gotta be pretty heavy, but I will say that they did a good job of making this really smooth and keeping this really kind of light. You can actually see that halation too now on the side of the helmet there, so that's a really cool look in itself. Okay, so I do like this bloom, you know, kind of effect thing. That's kind of cool. Let's go ahead and fix our white balance, our temperature control. We're gonna do the best we can. So I'm gonna crank this over to here, push this over into here, and now this is not so blue, right? So I'm gonna hit play, and there we have it. It is definitely not so blue. So now let's go ahead and go to the codec. You guys know I like my Codec Vision 3 500T. I'm gonna go ahead and enable it, and wow, this already looks pretty filmic. So this is what really makes, you know, this plugin really fascinating. So whoa, that is really neat. So yeah, but that's pretty cool. But as it is right here, this already looks really nice. So last thing I would do is probably add some vignette here, since a lot of vintage lenses has it, and we'll go and add some vignette, and then I'm gonna go back over to my print, and then we're gonna go ahead and fix our exposure by actually just change our back to our waveform, so I can actually bring up the exposure a little bit. Oh, I gotta actually enable it, duh. So enable, and then we're gonna bring up our exposure, tonal contrast, sure, color density. Interesting, very nice. And then expand is like more like contrast, so you can make our blacks black and make our whites very white. And there we have it. We have a color graded, so we went from before, after, before, after. Look at that beam on this, how it made it look. That's crazy. I don't know, something I did caused that, but that beam looks really loud now, and it really is neat, to say the least. So, but I just like that the node tree was a lot cleaner with Dehancer. It's a lot less. It does a lot for you without having to like do anything else. And I also like that you pretty much have everything in one node, and I also like that you have all the different film stocks you can play around with. I also like that it definitely took off the digital edge. Like, it really did. It doesn't look very digital anymore. It looks more like it was filmed on actual film, or like a real big production camera, whereas the other one looks more like a modern cinema mirrorless camera still look, which is really hard to get that digital edge off unless you add like denoiser or something like that. And I like what it did with the blooming effect. It's different. It's definitely different than the glow effect that's in DaVinci. I don't really quite understand what it is, but bloom and glow are two different things. And then the halation, I think the halation is really cool, how granular you can get that dialed in. The one in DaVinci is definitely not as interesting and simple to use. And so yeah, there is a lot more, but I just wanted to see what kind of looks we could get comparing these two. I could see myself using the Dehancer one, especially on filmmaking type projects. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I am going to get off of here, and next time we are going to play around with some more Dehancer and finalize this series. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.